2, 1.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our #1 Best Trader Fall Intermediate Competition. This is our Week 1 review, hosted by DAS and Nasdaq. And my name is Michael DeJoyer. I'm the Director of Educational Services and a licensed professional here at DAS. And I'm joined here by my co-host, Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter, actually at the Nasdaq market site once again. Oh my God, this is a momentous day. It's been a long time since you've been in New York City.
It has been.
Oh, anyway, go ahead.
Yep, it has been. It's good to be back in 2-3 days a week. I can tell you since October 1st, when it feels like a lot of the mandates to come back in were placed on, the city definitely feels busier, but almost more from like a tourist attraction perspective. The trains and the subways aren't really quite that full yet, but for everyone listening, if you want to look really quick, setting up for CNBC's Fast Money, so that's always kind of cool.
Yep, Fast Money. That's awesome.
It's good to be back.
Yep, it's great to have you back in New York City. I was, doing a little bit of venturing into NYC again myself in the last couple of weeks. So it's certainly good to see the city coming back alive. But we have had a lot of news today. The roller coaster of the markets continue as we had some disappointing non-farm payroll numbers. I thought it was pretty interesting. I mean, it was almost like mixed messaging. We had, I guess Joe Biden came and made an announcement about the good unemployment numbers, but at least from the kind of market perspective, the numbers were also, kind of disappointing. So, I mean, we've had lower unemployment, but we also had smaller or less job creation. So maybe you can give us a little insight as kind of the dichotomy of, the market reacted kind of negatively, at least the 10-year rate kind of reacted negatively. So explain that to us, Jill.
It was interesting because you saw a little bit of a pop because you have, a negative headline number that kind of kicks the tapering can down the road. But, I think you have to look under the surface a bit. When you see the unemployment rate as low as it is, that also means that we have record high job openings. According to Adzuna, we have 7.5 million open, which is up 79% year over year. But, despite the headline number of unemployment being under 5%, a lot of it is there's people that are not coming back to the labor force. So it's really not a true number of what the unemployment rate looks like. I think the market is in a tricky spot right now because the Fed is looking at inflation, supply chain constraints are only adding to those issues, but then our labor data isn't that good. So they're going to have to do something somewhere. I'm not sure how much further they can kick the can down the road to kind of normalize some of what we're seeing in the economy. But I think that's really what the issue is, that it's not just the amount of jobs added. It's not just the unemployment rate. It really is what's happening under the surface. Did I freeze or did Mike freeze?
Hey, Jill, I think we lost Mike. I'm trying to get him back. Stand by.
Okay, sounds good.
Thanks.
Jill, are you there?
I am here.
I'm sorry. I think I was just, I had switched networks. My computer decided to automatically switch to another network. So
It's always like that.
yeah, it's needless to say, but I think that the confusion, at least, because I mean, the market started the day slightly up. And then by the end of the day, they had slipped to the downside. And really the one that was the largest impact was on the technology, in the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq actually dropped by 0.5 percentage point. The Dow was down less than 0.1%, and the S&P was down 0.2%. So, S&P and Dow held up a little bit better than the tech-heavy Nasdaq. And I think that's mainly because of these inflationary concerns again. Inflation tends to hit technology companies a little bit harder because they have larger, I guess, borrowing and they're a little bit more interest rate sensitive. And with the 10-year really rallying to the upside, I believe that was why the Nasdaq was hit a little bit harder than the Dow or the S&P. On a different note, oil also now broke above $80 a barrel. So what are your thoughts on oil going forward? Because, there's a lot of, concern. I heard a lot of talk today. Are we in a recession? Are we not in a recession? Are we going into a recession? Is oil and energy costs going to drive us into a recession of some kind? Certainly the normal statistics, some of the normal statistics, we are certainly not in a recession, but it seems like there is some of that recessionary cloud talk hanging about. So maybe you can give us some insight into energy costs and potentially driving the economy into recessionary.
Yeah, it's so interesting what's happening with energy because not only has the dollar moved higher, but we've also seen an uptick in rates. Typically, oil performs inverse correlation to both of those factors. So that's been pretty interesting. And then we're also seeing the performance in the stocks versus what's happening with oil. I think a big part of it was the supply chain. Of course, that's constricted there as well. It appears as if Russia's going to open that up a bit to Europe. But what's concerning to me is that in the Northeast we're in the shoulder season, meaning that it's not cold here yet, and we're not consuming natural gas or oil at the rate that we will, December, January, February, and with the levels that they're at right now, we haven't even hit that peak demand. I think it's really what energy strategists will be paying attention to, because again, of course, Mike, everything in my mind comes down to inflationary pressures and what's happening with the supply chain, and not just supply chain in oil, but it's across the board in every industry. And I really think that's what the outlier is going to be. Next week, we start with the banks reporting, right? So of course, they're going to have commentary around interest rates, but I'm going to be really curious to see how supply chain impacts all of the other industries that we'll be paying attention to with earnings. It really, and we've seen where GM, Ford, they've made announcements prior to their earnings that they are shutting down a couple of plants because they aren't able to get the chips that they need to build the new cars. So it seems as if you're getting this trickling out of these announcements rather than, throwing it all in the earnings press release. So I'll be curious to see how analysts adjust their estimates around what's happening with oil, around what we're going to hear from earnings reports and so forth, because I really think that's going to be the catalyst outside of the macro factors as we go through Q4.
Yeah, so cyclically, generally, and it's seasonal basis, usually oil gets more pricey going into the home heating oil time of year, which we're now coming into the middle of October, which is really when home heating oil starts to get used. In the Northeast, it really doesn't start to get used until, middle of November or so, but certainly this is when they're starting to buy home heating oil. And obviously, just judging from the amount of chipmunks that I see burrowing the chipmunk indicator, it seems like this is going to be a cold winter, or at least could potentially be a cold winter. And if it is, as a trader, we always say if oil gets to 80, it's going to test 100. Okay. So now we've hit 80. So now the next big number for us to hit is it going to hit the 100 number? And usually if it hits 100, it's going to hit that resistance and bang off it. So it's very, very possible, in my opinion, considering how early we've started to make a run on oil and that we've already hit 80, that, by November, December, potentially, that we should have over $100 a barrel oil. And generally what happens is that, at least in the past, we looked at $80 a barrel oil makes things like shale oil and other oil that is usually not worth refining and processing. All of a sudden, those other oil sources start to become quite feasible, but it has to stay above $80 a barrel.
Right. And Mike, it's so interesting. I know I provide a lot of anecdotes with my, moving circus this year, but when Mike and I moved, we moved in April. The second week we were there, we ordered a generator for the house because, we were talking about what the winter could be like, and same thing to your point when you were saying about how the winter's being predicted. We ordered it in April. We just got it installed, I think, the end of September. Everything is, you don't think of generators, you don't think of snow blowers until it's at your front door. But everything's like a 5 to 6 month lead time. And I don't think it's going to improve anytime soon. So I'm just saying, anecdotally, what we see is really why I'm interested to see what corporate teams are going to say with their commentary for earnings this particular quarter.
Absolutely. I totally agree. It's going to be an interesting earnings season as we get closer to that point in time. In interesting news, SpaceX reaches a $100 million valuation on it's a second offering of a pre-IPO. It's not obviously public, but this is very, very, this is probably the highest valuation, one of the highest valuations ever for a stock that hasn't even gone IPO yet. This is still considered a venture that's now valued at over $100 million. And also in other news, Elon Musk announced, that Tesla will be moving its headquarters to Austin, Texas, which I have to say, having recently been last year to Austin, Texas, it's an amazing tech city. So I can totally understand the decision to move to Austin, from having been there and seeing the environment and kind of the atmosphere and, the feel of Austin. It's totally a tech city. So your thoughts on SpaceX reaching $100 million valuation, and then of course, Elon Musk moving the headquarters of Tesla to Austin.
Yeah, it's really interesting. There was a great strategist on CNBC this morning, and he was talking about Tesla. He made a really good point about SpaceX. The person who's the chief operating officer, Gwynne Shotwell, is the one who's running the business day to day. He's the one who's in charge of hiring and firing, despite the fact that Elon Musk founded the company, and he's doing a fantastic job at it. And he was saying how with Tesla, if you got someone who was an operator to take over a lot of these things, to execute on Musk's vision, that could be what starts to support the stock price and the valuation that it's at. Because while he has the vision and he can see the future executing the operation, some of the things that he has outlined are incredibly aggressive targets. And to his credit, he's even said, our stock price is too high. I have all these targets. They're going to be really challenging to meet. So it'd be really interesting to see if you were to ever get an operator in Tesla. No doubt he's an incredibly brilliant person, but there is a difference between founders and operators. And it's rare to see two of them be incredibly successful together. And for, understandable reasons. It's your company, but then you also have to satisfy shareholders and regulators and all that. So you have to be able to operate and execute. But it's no surprise that he's moving to Texas. I mean, how many other companies have made the move from New York, California to more tax-friendly states where you have space and up and coming towns like what you're seeing in Utah with Silicon Slopes, what you're seeing in places like Texas, they are offering those incentives to bring those high-paying jobs there, because these are salary jobs, not hourly jobs. These are the kinds of people that are going to help grow the local economies.
Yep, absolutely, makes a lot of sense. I having been to Austin, it was already a tech center. Now with Tesla there, it's got some real headline, and brand recognition in terms of being a tech center. And I would say it's probably the pivotal tech center in the South. I know that Tampa was another area that was kind of attracting a lot of tech talent, but certainly Austin, at least, from what I've read and certainly experienced myself. And then, there's other areas as well, like certainly Phoenix is like the top growing city in the South. Phoenix, Arizona, also attracted a lot of tech, various different tech companies. I know that they're building a new plant for Taiwan Semiconductor, is building a plant in Phoenix, Arizona. So it's another one of these southern tech centers, but very, very interesting. And now, without any further ado, it is our week 1 of our trading competition. This is for week 1 October 4th to October 8th. And as always, we have a really incredible lineup for the first week of the competition. Our repeat excellent performers, we have best 574 from the Global Bolsa Group from Peru, with a whopping $2,151,000 gain today, with total gains of 10,000 for the week. So that's an average gain of $2,000 a day in a day trading competition. Absolutely incredible. We have our number 2 position being taken by Best 982 from Transparent Traders, another one of our groups, with a almost $500 gain today, and just about $5,000 or $4,790 so far this week, which means that the trader has averaged about $1,000 a day in trading profits. That's consistent trading profits, which is exactly what we like to see in an intermediate trading competition. And our number 3 space, also taken by one of the Global Bolsa Group members, making a trading gain of $150 for the day, but just about $3,500 for the week. We also have, 2 Dash Trader, longtime Dash Trader, people who are here on the top 10 leaderboard. And then we have, for the top 5 spots, all of our traders were up today and profitable in total gains. And this is something, Jill, that we've seen many times before, where the bottom 5 of our top 10, they are just nominally, they are actually down, but they're not down more than the rest of the competition members. So just being green gets you in the top 10, at least in this first week of the trading competition. And just moving right along to our top stocks. I know this is one of the things that you always like to look at is we have a lot of these kind of one-hit wonders, these one-dayers, CCXI, RSLS, VYGR, and BABA, kind of a bigger name company, and CEI. Do any of these names kind of jump out at you in any way in terms of news, or are these just, kind of one hit, pop and drop kind of stocks?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at a couple of them now. BABA doesn't surprise me that much if you're looking for like a rebound on the Chinese play. I wasn't surprised to see that. The other one, these are kind of random. Some biotech plays in there, energy plays. It looks like trying to, with the volatility that we've seen, perhaps pick up some things or at least trade them. China name totally makes sense. Energy, obviously everyone's looking for the value in the energy trade. So I could see the rationale behind it.
Yeah. I mean, the thing that stands out to me, obviously, is that RSLS is fairly low priced, at $3.13. So traders
26% on the day. I wonder if that was Doss's, the one who had $5,000. I wonder if that was his.
I would probably guess that these low price stocks, the one that's kind of in the middle of the range is CCXI. These are kind of news driven plays. It always seems that in the day trading competitions that they generate a lot of interest on news driven plays. I'll switch to my charts real quick and we'll take a look at each of these. Hold on 1 second. Going to share my charts and let's take a look on our Dash Trader on an intraday basis. So we got CCXI. Maybe I have to reconnect here. Hold on 1 second. Just gonna do a real quick reconnect. I have a lot going on here on my Dash Trader. Okay. All right, so CCXI, as you can see here, was literally trading. I call these pop and drop plays. Stock was literally trading at $20 yesterday, and today it jumped all the way up to 38. Actually 37 at the open, dropped down to 29, rallied up to 41. Let's take a look at the intraday. And you can see that this was just a total roller coaster. As far as the intraday goes, I mean, there was a huge gap up today, and definitely the reason why this stock was featured so heavily and was the most active stock for the day. We have RSLS, very similar as well. Going into yesterday, closed yesterday in the $2.50 area. Today, kind of breaking out right at the open and rallying all the way up to hitting a $3.33 gain, pulling back to $3 even. Low price stock. We know traders in the competition love to trade low price stocks, and certainly take advantage of those big percentage gainers. VYGR, Voyager, another one that broke out from about the $3.80 area. Today breaks out to new highs, runs all the way up to $5.75 at the high. These are all kind of these, breakout plays, low price stocks that are breaking out. Obviously, Baba, as you had mentioned, is a stock that certainly gotten beaten up with all the kind of regulatory activity going on in China. And then the last 3 days, really, that's why it was, all this week was very actively traded. It kind of snapped back to the upside from a 140 low all the way up to a 161, 161.74 close for the day. So very, very big price movement on BABA. And then CEI, all over the map this week. This one really this is, I would call this a buy setup yesterday, on Wednesday and Thursday, but certainly today it gapped up and crapped out. And that is traders love to short. This is probably one that wasn't too hard to get a locate on, as locating is one of the requirements of being in the competition. You have to be able to locate the stock as well. So certainly understandable that these stocks are in our top 5.
That's a good point you make.
Yep, they got to be locatable, and they have to be obviously have the trading volume, and of course we have to remind everybody, no overnights. This is a day trading competition, and certainly we don't want you to hold overnights for a day trading competition. So just to warn everybody once again, but we're going to jump back to the slideshow presentation here and wrap things up. So just a reminder to all of our competitions, competitors, to review your strategy. What have you been successful doing? Okay, this week, certainly our top 5 traders have been very successful, making a lot of profits on average. Have you made any mistakes? Anybody who's not in the winner's circle or in the top 10, certainly what mistakes have you made? Try to eliminate your mistakes and try to expound upon what's working. What have you learned so far? If you have any additional comments or things that you'd like to bring to the competition and ask us, certainly you can email info@number1besttrader.com. We'd certainly love to hear from you. Jill and I would certainly love to hear any questions, hear about your strategies and how you plan on winning the competition. Our fall intermediate competition runs through October 29th. Visit onebesttrader.com for more information. Certainly follow Number One Best Trader on all of our social media links on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Certainly follow DAS and subscribe to our YouTube channel, DAS Trader TV, if you haven't already done so as well. And follow DAS on all of our social media links, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Jill, thank you so much for being here for our first week of the competition. And see you in a week.
Sounds good. All right. Have a great weekend, everyone. Take care.
Enjoy your long weekend, holiday weekend, everybody. Enjoy, although I don't think the market's closed.
Oh, no, we're here.
We're still open, but for all those of you who have Monday off, enjoy your extra day off. Bye-bye, everybody.
Right, see ya.